Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because every week we dive deep into the strategies that shape our world. Today, we're exploring the fascinating and sometimes ruthless power of reputation. From the cunning tactics of P.T. Barnum to the shocking campaigns of Thomas Edison, we'll uncover how to build, protect, and even weaponize your image. Get ready to learn how to control your fate and your reputation. Compliance with the Law 1. During China's War of the Three Kingdoms, AD 207-265, the great general Zhu Zhiliang, known as Sleeping Dragon Zhu Xia's mother, fell ill. He used the royal coach to visit her, pretending that the ruler had given him permission. When the ruler found out, he said, "How dutiful is me Zhu Xia Din," with the alarming news that an enemy force of over 150,000 troops under Sima Yi, 179-251 AD was approaching. With only 100 men to defend him, Zhu Zhiliang's situation was dire. The enemy would finally capture this renowned leader. Without mourning his fate or wasting time trying to figure out how he had been caught, Liang ordered his troops to take down their flags, throw open the city gates, and hide. He himself then took a seat on the most visible part of the city's wall, wearing a Taoist robe. He lit some incense, played his lute, and began to chant. Minutes later, he could see the vast enemy army approaching, an endless phalanx of soldiers. Pretending not to notice them, he continued to sing and play the lute. Soon the army stood at the town gates. At its head was Sima Yi, who instantly recognized the man on the wall. Even so, as his soldiers were eager to enter the unguarded town through its open gates, Sima Yi hesitated, held them back, and studied Liang on the wall. Then he ordered an immediate and speedy retreat. Inversion. Zhu Zhiliang was commonly known as the Sleeping Dragon. His exploits in the War of the Three Kingdoms were legendary. Once a man claiming to be a disaffected enemy lieutenant came to his camp, offering help and information. Liang instantly recognized the situation as a setup. This man was a false deserter and should be beheaded. At the last minute, though, as the axe was about to fall, Liang stopped the execution and offered to spare the man's life if he agreed to become a double agent. Thankful and terrified, the man agreed and began supplying false information to the enemy. Liang won battle after battle. On another occasion, Liang stole a military seal and created false documents dispatching his enemy's troops to distant locations. Once the troops had dispersed, he was able to capture 3 cities, so that he controlled an entire corridor of the enemy's kingdom. He also once tricked the enemy into believing one of its best generals was a traitor, forcing the man to escape and join forces with Liang. The Sleeping Dragon carefully built up his reputation of being the cleverest man in China, one who always had a trick up his sleeve. As powerful as any weapon, this reputation struck fear into his enemy. Sima Yi had fought against Zhu Zhiliang dozens of times and knew him well. When he came on the empty city, with Liang praying on the wall, he was astonished. The Taoist robes, the chanting, the incense, this had to be a game of intimidation. The man was obviously taunting him, daring him to walk into a trap. The game was so obvious that for one moment it crossed Yi's mind that Liang actually was alone and desperate. But so great was his fear of Liang that he dared not risk finding out. Such is the power of reputation. It can put a vast army on the defensive, even force them into retreat, without a single arrow being fired. For, as Cicero says, even those who argue against fame still want the books they write against it to bear their name in the title and hope to become famous for despising it. Everything else is subject to barter. We will let our friends have our goods and our lives if need be. but a case of sharing our fame and making someone else the gift of our reputation is hardly to be found. Montaigne, 1533 to 1592. Compliance with the law too. In 1841, the young P.T. Barnum, 1810 to 1891, trying to establish his reputation as America's premier showman, decided to purchase the American Museum in Manhattan and turn it into a collection of curiosities that would secure his fame. The problem was that he had no money. The museum's asking price was $15,000, but Barnum was able to put together a proposal that attracted the institution's owners, even though it replaced cash up front with dozens of guarantees and references. The owners came to a verbal agreement with Barnum, but at the last minute, the principal partner changed his mind, and the museum and its collection were sold to the directors of Peale's museum. Barnum was enraged, but the partner explained that business was business. The museum had been sold to Peale's because Peale's had a reputation and Barnum had none. Barnum immediately decided that if he had no reputation to bank on, his only recourse was to harm the reputation of Peale's. Accordingly, he launched a letter-writing campaign in the newspapers, calling the owners a bunch of broken-down bank directors who had no idea how to run a museum or entertain people. He warned the public against buying Peale's stock, since the business's purchase of another museum would invariably spread its resources thin. The campaign was effective, the stock plummeted, and with no more confidence in Peale's track record and reputation, the owners of the American Museum went back on their deal and sold the whole thing to Barnum. It took years for Peale's to recover, and they never forgot what Barnum had done. Peale himself decided to attack Barnum by building a reputation for highbrow entertainment, promoting his museum's programs as more scientific than those of his common competitor. Mesmerism, hypnotism was one of Peale's scientific attractions, and for a while it drew big crowds and was quite successful. To fight back, Barnum decided to attack Peale's reputation yet again. Barnum organized a rival mesmeric performance in which he himself seemingly put a little girl into a hypnotic state. Once she seemed to have fallen deeply under, he tried to hypnotize viewers, but no matter how hard he tried, none of the viewers fell under his spell, and many of them began to laugh. An annoyed Barnum finally announced that to prove the little girl's hypnotic state was real, he would cut off one of her fingers without her noticing. But as he sharpened the knife, the little girl's eyes popped open, and she ran away to the audience's delight. He repeated these imitations for several weeks. Soon no one could take Peale's show seriously, and attendance went way down. Within a few weeks the show closed. Over the next few years, Barnum established a reputation for boldness and accomplished showmanship that lasted his whole life. Peale's reputation, on the other hand, never recovered. Inversion. Barnum used two different tactics to ruin Peale's reputation. The first was simple. He sowed doubts about the museum's financial stability. Doubt is a powerful weapon. Once you let it out of the bag with crafty rumors, your opponents are in a horrible predicament. On the one hand, they can deny the rumors, even prove that you have defamed them, but a layer of suspicion will remain. Why are they defending themselves so desperately? Maybe the rumor has some truth to it. If, on the other hand, they take the high road and ignore you, the doubts, unchallenged, will be even stronger. If done correctly, the sowing of rumors can so enrage and disturb your rivals that in defending themselves they will make numerous mistakes. This is the perfect weapon for those who have no reputation of their own to work from. Once Barnum did have a reputation of his own, he used the second, gentler tactic, the fake hypnotism demonstration. He mocked his rival's reputation. This too was extremely successful. Once you have a solid base of respect, mocking your opponent both puts him on the defensive and draws more attention to you, improving your own reputation. Direct slander and insult are too strong at this point. They are ugly and may hurt you more than help you. But gentle jabs and teasing suggest that you have a strong enough sense of your own worth to enjoy a good laugh at your rival's expense. A humorous front can make you out as a harmless entertainer while poking holes in the reputation of your rival. It is easier to cope with a bad conscience than with a bad reputation. Friedrich Nietzsche, 1844–1900. Pathway to authority. The people around us, even our closest friends, will always to some extent remain mysterious and inscrutable. Their characters have secret depths that they never reveal. The unknowableness of other people could prove disturbing if we thought about it long enough, since it would make it impossible for us really to judge other people. So we prefer to ignore this fact, and to judge people on their appearances, on what is most visible to our eyes: clothes, gestures, words, actions. In the social realm, appearances are the barometer of almost all of our judgments, and you must never be deceived into believing otherwise. One false slip, one awkward or sudden change in your appearance can prove catastrophic. This is the reason for the supreme importance of making and maintaining a reputation that is of your own creation. That reputation will protect you in the dangerous game of appearances, distracting the probing eyes of others from knowing what you are really like, and giving you a degree of control over how the world judges you, a powerful position to be in. Reputation has a power like magic. With one stroke of its wand, it can double your strength. It can also send people scurrying away from you. Whether the exact same deeds appear brilliant or dreadful can depend entirely on the reputation of the doer. In the ancient Chinese court of the Wei Kingdom, there was a man named Mi Tzu-sha who had a reputation for supreme civility and graciousness. He became the ruler's favorite. It was a law in Wei that whoever rides secretly in the ruler's coach shall have his feet cut off. But when Mi Tzu-sha's mother fell ill, he used the royal coach to visit her, pretending that the ruler had given him permission. When the ruler found out, he said, "How dutiful is Mi Tzu-sha." For his mother's sake, he even forgot that he was committing a crime, making him liable to lose his feet. Another time, the two of them took a stroll in an orchard. Mi Tzu-sha began eating a peach that he could not finish, and he gave the ruler the other half to eat. The ruler remarked, "You love me so much that you would even forget your own saliva taste, and let me eat the rest of the peach." Later, however, envious fellow courtiers, spreading word that Mi Tzu-sha was actually devious and arrogant, succeeded in damaging his reputation. The ruler came to see his actions in a new light. "This fellow once rode in my coach under pretense of my order," he told the courtiers angrily. "And another time he gave me a half-eaten peach." For the same actions that had charmed the ruler when he was the favorite, Mi Tzu-sha now had to suffer the penalties. The fate of his feet depended solely on the strength of his reputation. In the beginning, you must work to establish a reputation for one outstanding quality, whether generosity or honesty or cunning. This quality sets you apart and gets other people to talk about you. You then make your reputation known to as many people as possible, subtly, though take care to build slowly, and with a firm foundation, and watch as it spreads like wildfire. A solid reputation increases your presence and exaggerates your strengths without your having to spend much energy. It can also create an aura around you that will instill respect, even fear. In the fighting in the North African desert during World War II, the German general Erwin Rommel, 1891–1944, had a reputation for cunning and for deceptive maneuvering that struck terror into everyone who faced him. Even when his forces were depleted and when British tanks outnumbered his by 5-1, entire cities would be evacuated at the news of his approach. As they say, your reputation inevitably precedes you, and if it inspires respect, a lot of your work is done for you before you arrive on the scene or utter a single word. Your success seems destined by your past triumphs. Much of the success of Henry Kissinger's born 1923 shuttle diplomacy rested on his reputation for ironing out differences. No one wanted to be seen as so unreasonable that Kissinger could not sway him. A peace treaty seemed a fait accompli as soon as Kissinger's name became involved in the negotiations. Make your reputation simple and base it on one notable quality. This single quality, efficiency say, or seductiveness, becomes a kind of calling card that announces your presence and places others under a spell. A reputation for honesty will allow you to practice all manner of deception. Casanova, 1725 to 1798, used his reputation as a great seducer to pave the way for his future conquests. Women who had heard of his powers became immensely curious and wanted to discover for themselves what had made him so romantically successful. Perhaps you have already damaged your reputation so that you are prevented from establishing a new one. In such cases, it is wise to associate with someone whose image counteracts your own, using their good name to whitewash and elevate yours. It is hard, for example, to erase a reputation for dishonesty by yourself, but a paragon of honesty can help. When P.T. Barnum wanted to clean up a reputation for promoting ordinary entertainment, he brought the singer Jenny Lind (1820 to 1887) over from Europe. She had an outstanding, high-class reputation, and the American tour Barnum sponsored for her greatly enhanced his own image. Similarly, the great robber barons of 19th-century America were long unable to rid themselves of a reputation for cruelty and unkindness. Only when they began collecting art, so that the names of Morgan (1837 to 1913) and Frick (1849 to 1919) became permanently associated with those of Da Vinci (1452 to 1519) and Rembrandt (1606 to 1669), were they able to soften their unpleasant image. Reputation is a treasure to be carefully collected and salvaguarded. Especially when you are first establishing it, you must protect it strictly, anticipating all attacks on it. Once it is solid, do not let yourself get angry or defensive at the defamatory comments of your enemies. That reveals insecurity, not confidence in your reputation. Take the high road instead, and never appear desperate in your self-defense. On the other hand, an attack on another man's reputation is a strong weapon, particularly when you have less power than he does. He has much more to lose in such a battle, and your own thus far small reputation gives him a small target when he tries to return your fire. Barnum used such campaigns to great effect in his early career, but this tactic must be practiced with skill. You must not seem to engage in petty retaliation. If you do not break your enemy's reputation cleverly, you will unintentionally ruin your own. Thomas Edison, 1847 to 1931, considered the inventor who controlled electricity, believed that a workable system would have to be based on direct current DC. When the Serbian scientist Nikola Tesla, 1856 to 1943, appeared to have succeeded in creating a system based on alternating current AC, Edison was furious. He determined to damage Tesla's reputation by making the public believe that the AC system was intrinsically unsafe, and Tesla irresponsible in promoting it. To this end he captured all kinds of household pets and electrocuted them to death with an AC current. When this wasn't enough, In 1890, he got New York State prison authorities to organize the world's first execution by electrocution using an AC current. But Edison's electrocution experiments had all been with small creatures. The charge was too weak, and the man was only half killed. In perhaps the country's cruelest state-authorized execution, the procedure had to be repeated. It was an awful spectacle. Although, in the long run, it is Edison's name that has survived. At the time, his campaign damaged his own reputation more than Tesla's. The lesson is simple: never go too far in attacks like these, for that will draw more attention to your own vindictiveness than to the person you are slandering. When your own reputation is solid, use subtler tactics, such as satire and ridicule, to weaken your opponent while making you out as a charming scoundrel. The mighty lion toys with the mouse that crosses his path. Any other reaction would mar his fearsome reputation. Authority. Therefore I should wish our courtier to reinforce his inherent worth with skill and cunning, and ensure that whenever he has to go where he is a stranger, he is preceded by a good reputation. For the fame which appears to rest on the opinions of many cultivates a certain unshakable belief in a man's worth, which is then easily strengthened in minds already inclined and prepared. Baldassare Castiglione, 1478, 1529. Turnaround. There is no possible turnaround. Reputation is critical. There are no exceptions to this law. Perhaps not caring what others think of you, you gain a reputation for rudeness and conceit, but that can be a valuable image in itself. Oscar Wilde, 1854–1900. Used it to great advantage. Since we must live in society and must depend on the opinions of others, there is nothing to be gained by ignoring your reputation. By not caring how you are perceived, you let others decide this for you. Be the master of your fate, and also of your reputation.
And that's it for today's video. I hope you found these insights into the power of reputation as eye-opening as I did. Remember, your reputation is your most valuable asset. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below sharing your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe for more weekly content, and I'll see you in the next video.